Hey guys, my name is Lizzie and I am actually just trying to do a video on my PCOS experience. I was recently diagnosed with PCOS when I was about 18 and a half. I was at that time living with my mom, and I noticed that every time I would go to sleep, I would always sleep on my stomach, and I started really getting a lot of pain, so I ended up having to sleep a lot on my back. Even when I started sleeping on my back, I ended up getting a lot of pain because it was pressing down on my spine. At that time, of course, I did not know that I had PCOS. How I found out I had PCOS was that I had went to a doctor, and I told the doctor that I had a lot of pain and problems, and so they did an ultrasound. They did an external ultrasound on my stomach, and yet they told me that everything was fine. There was nothing wrong with me, and I felt like I was going insane because I knew something was wrong. I was gaining weight. I was at that time about 128 to 130 pounds. And for my height, because I'm 5'8", that's pretty good. And within 4 months time, I had gained about 30 pounds. So later on that year, last year, when I had gone to visit my boyfriend in the Caribbean, we ended up getting married in September. And at our wedding, I realized my dress that I got that was fitting me very well before, the month before, was starting to get very tight, and I noticed that I had a lot of swelling in my lower abdominal area. So from the wedding to after the wedding, about a month, me and my husband, of course, were married. During intimacy, I used to have a lot of pain, and sometimes I would end up bleeding. And it's not just 1 or 2 times, it was a couple times. So that was a cause of concern for me. So when me and my husband had time, we went to see a gynecologist. And when we went to see the gynecologist and explained our story and what was happening with me and the pain I was getting, the weight gain, everything, he told me he thinks that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. And when he told me that, he said, okay, just sit up on the bed and he'll do an internal ultrasound. So he did that, and he said, just as I suspected, you have PCOS. So he prescribed birth control for me called Novanet. And Novanet is a type of low-dose birth control that you take about 21 days, and then you don't take anything for the rest of the days. And he gave me 3 months supply of that. I took it for 2 months, and I stopped it right after that because I felt a lot of symptoms from the polycystic ovarian syndrome plus the birth control. So when I started taking the birth control, I was getting everything like 10 times as worse. I had 10 times worse acne. I was still gaining a whole lot of weight, and it was just out of control. So I went to the doctor about the month after I had stopped the 2-month birth control. I told him I stopped it by myself because I knew that my body was telling me not to take it anymore. So when I told him that, he said, okay, we'll look at different options, and he gave me something called metformin. Metformin is basically a diabetic drug, and what it does is that it helps your insulin resistance. And when you take metformin, you have to start it off on a low dose, like 500 milligrams, and up it every week so that your body gets used to it. You can't just take a whole bunch at once because there's a lot of symptoms such as like diarrhea and headaches, and it was just really bad. Even though I took it like that, I still did end up getting those symptoms. But when I told my doctor, he said, don't worry about it, it'll pass, it's not that bad. So I took it, and I'm still taking it up to this day. But I did have a miscarriage in April. I had gotten pregnant in sometime around March, and I know my body, and I know when something happens to it. So I know my body instantly when something is happening inside of it. And I noticed I wasn't feeling well. The foods I like to eat, I couldn't eat anymore. I ended up vomiting. I just had pregnancy symptoms. And at first I didn't want to think it was pregnancy symptoms, because with PCOS, you end up getting symptoms similar to polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I decided, okay, I'll take a few tests. When I took a test, about at 3 weeks at that point, I had taken the test. We went out the whole day, and when I came back, I noticed there was a line on the test. But because it was so long by itself in the bedroom, because you have to read it within a few minutes, I took another one, and yet the other one had a very faint line, but yet it was still there, which meant I was pregnant. So for me, as a person who has polycystic ovarian syndrome, of course it's very hard for me to get pregnant, and I'm a person who really wants a baby. I love children, and ever since I was little, I dreamt of getting married young, having kids young, and all of that, and when I started bleeding, just about 2 days after I had taken those tests, I was so disappointed. I was so scared. I called my doctor, and he told me, okay, once you stop bleeding, come in, because he wasn't too sure if I was or not with the polycystic ovarian syndrome. So when I got time, I came in, and when I went in, he said, okay, we'll do an ultrasound, make sure nothing's in there, and just do another pregnancy test just to be sure. So he did the test, and it came back negative, of course, and then he did the internal ultrasound, and he told me that my lining of my uterus was very thin, which means I might have had a chemical pregnancy, which is a pregnancy that gives you all the hormones and everything, but within a short period of time you end up having a miscarriage. So it's kind of like you weren't even really that pregnant, but yet I still had the symptoms. So after that, of course, when he saw my face the first few times, I had a lot of acne. When I was younger, I never had too much of an acne problem. Of course, I had oily skin naturally because it runs in my family. But it started getting worse, and I started getting cystic acne, like so bad that it would like swell up and not come to the surface. But it was so bad to the point that everybody who knew me would watch me and be like, what's wrong with you? Why are you getting all this acne? Just try Proactive or try like a simple product. But the problem with me, because I had polycystic ovary, or I still do have it, is the fact that I could use any product. I could use the right products, I could use expensive products, but still nothing could work because I have an internal problem. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is when your hormones are off balance, and when your hormones are off balance as a woman, it really messes up your body. You gain weight, you lose hair. Like my hair does fall out a lot, even though I do have pretty thick hair. I started getting problems with my eyes because I usually use contacts, and I used to get like these gooey things that would come out. My whole body was just messing with me. So after that, I had a lot of fatigue. Of course, every day I just felt like I could not get off my bed. I was so tired up to the point that if I tried doing an activity, it would make me feel like I'm literally dying. So every day, basically, I would sleep for hours and hours, and I wasn't able to do anything. Even though I wasn't eating a whole lot of food, I was still gaining a lot of weight. So after all that weight, then came a lot of family reactions. Not a lot of people know about PCOS, especially where my mom is from, here in the Caribbean. And they know a lot more about fibroids, but having polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's not as known. It's probably very common, but people probably just don't really know about it. So when I told my family that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, they told me, go and get your belly rubbed and take certain medications, lay off all these foods. I did that for months, and I basically felt like I was depriving myself of a lot of things. I try to work out the best that I can. I try to stay active. If I'm sitting by my desk or doing something, I try to get up every few minutes to try to do something and stretch. I would always be a very active teenager. I would do yoga, I would go to the gym. I was very, very healthy, not skinny, but very healthy. And I miss being like that, because when I was healthy, I had so much energy to do things. And now that I got sick, I feel like it's a struggle for me every day. And sometimes it feels like it's such a struggle for other people around me, because they don't know what I'm going through internally. And of course, like, some people, you could look fine on the outside, but you could be hurting very much on the inside. And I just felt like it was, even up to now, like a tremendous trouble on everybody around me. After I had gained all this weight, of course, I started feeling less self-esteem. I would feel like I wasn't who I was before. I would just feel very upset with myself. I would feel very anxious and stressed, because I would try to put so much onto myself, and everybody would think so much of me and try to push me up to the point where, I mean, of course they don't know that I have my limits, but I know for myself I have my limits, and I know when my body tells me to stop and to relax. But other than family issues, my husband is pretty much supportive. He helps me in everything. He takes me to doctors. He understands what he can, because as a man, you know, you don't really go through ovarian problems because you don't have ovaries. But it's just a struggle for both of us, because of course what I'm going through is a struggle, and for what he's going through, he has to understand me, which is a struggle too. So I have been taking the metformin still. I kind of lowered my dose naturally, because I felt like with the metformin, I kept getting a lot of gas and swelling, bloating. I felt just kind of off, because my stomach would always be swollen, and I would feel like a lot of bloating problems, like extreme PMS problems. So I dropped the dose down a little bit, and it still feels the same way, but I know it's a symptom of metformin, and I can't run away from it. Medication is something that you take it for something, and it causes something else. So sometimes you just have to compromise with certain things. I recently bought a new tablet that is a herbal type of remedy. I was getting fed up of just taking medication made by doctors. The best type of medication is natural medication. It's the type of herbs that this earth provides for us, that God provides for us. So I decided, okay, I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of taking medication all the time that doctors make, and you would always end up having symptoms of it, like serious symptoms. So I looked on Amazon, I searched very hard, and I got this new tablet, a herbal tablet from Wise, or Nature's Answer, and it's called Female Complex. It does have dongquai root, red raspberry leaf, black cohosh root, and cassberry tree fruit. And this type of medication, like this herbal medication, is based upon reproductive organs. Of course, it's for female complex. The main thing about females is the reproductive system. When your reproductive system doesn't work properly as a female, your whole body just wants to shut down. So I got this, and it just arrived about 3 days now. And when I took it the first time, of course, I was so excited because I really wanted to try it, and I just want something to work so bad. I mean, yes, I pray. People always say to pray, and that's very true. I do pray about it. But you know, sometimes God allows us to go through certain difficulties in life, not to weaken us, but to make us stronger. And of course, it was hard for me to understand that at first because I already had been through a lot in my life. But as a teenager, I'm still a teenager. I'm only 19 years old, and to go through all these hormonal problems, and I had just recently got married, I just felt like I was not me. I felt like nothing was working. I felt like my life was done. And it just took a lot of meditation on God's word for me to just understand that He's in control and that everything happens for a reason. And like I said, He doesn't do things to us to make us weak, but He does it to make us stronger. So every day I try to think about that. I try to think about me getting PCOS, not just for the fact that I would like to help other women out there who have the same exact issues as me. I know there's a lot of things on YouTube that when I myself found out I had PCOS, the first place I looked to was YouTube. But some of the things that I wanted answers to, they didn't have, because everybody's reaction is different. So maybe someone would end up really appreciating my video that I really helped somebody. And well, I just did that, and I just hope that one day this PCOS just goes away, because me and my husband do plan on having kids. We would love to have at least maybe 3 kids, and we're ready. I mean, he's working at the moment. I'm not really working at the moment because of how I got sick. It affected everything, like my brain, my function, my memory, and even when I try counting money, sometimes I get mixed up, and I never get mixed up until I got sick. So just because of that, I've been trying to take my time and recover, but while I'm recovering, I want to do something, and I already love YouTube. I've been on YouTube all the time. I barely watch TV. Like, who watches TV anymore? Like, seriously. But I love YouTube. I love the community. I love interacting with people who make videos on YouTube. I love just answers. I love hearing people and their stories. When me and my husband got married, we were very unsure, of course, what was happening with me and everything, and we felt very distressed, both of us. And at that time, it didn't really click to me right away to check on YouTube, because at that time, when we had gotten married for that first month, I didn't know I had polycystic ovaries yet, but I had that feeling that I did. Because from my symptoms of looking it up, of course, I had pain in my ovaries. When I would lay on my stomach, it would hurt. It would feel like a knife is just being stabbed right through me. The excessive weight gain, hair loss, acne, very, very bad hormonal acne. That and the fact that I just don't feel like me anymore. I feel like I don't have energy. And it really takes a lot from me in order to do certain things. But of course, this video I wanted to talk about these things because of course I wanted to help people out there as well. One other symptom that I had when I was going through the polycystic ovarian symptoms earlier on was I would get these really bad hot flashes. Of course, I live in a very hot area, and every day it's just so hot, and then on top of me not feeling well, I used to get these really bad hot flashes. Even up to now, like if I'm in my bedroom, because we don't have air conditioning at the moment, it's just like I feel like I have to take off all my clothes. It's just like, it's really that bad. It feels like basically, you know, when a woman who's middle-aged goes through menopause, it feels like that, I guess, because from what I've seen and from people who I know with menopause, that's how they react. They start fanning themselves, they are drenched in sweat, and I feel like I have early menopause. But so my plan is to update everybody on this basic just herbal medication that you could take, and it should be good for everybody, but of course, yes, you have to consult your doctor. I am not a doctor, but for me, I just felt like this was it. And for the past 3 days that I've been taking it, because the first few times that you take it, for the first week you only take 1 tablet a day. But after that first week, you end up taking 2 tablets twice a day. So that's 4 tablets every day. Yeah, well, of course I don't feel like I'm going to do that because I'm already getting results from it. I could feel like I'm getting the results because, like I said, with the hormonal acne, my hormonal acne is so bad to the extent that it's so itchy, and I scratch my face all the time, and it causes this redness, this irritation, and everybody sees it around me, and I don't want to be the person who people look at because I have acne. I always had very clear skin, and to have people look at me and tell me it's getting worse and it looks so bad and all kinds of stuff, it's just, it's a low self-esteemer. Like, it makes you feel bad about yourself. So for the past 3 days, when I've been taking this once a day for 3 days already, I feel like the irritation and the swelling has gone down, not drastically, but pretty much. And of course I still have my acne, but it's not as horrific as it was, like wanting to scratch my face all the time. And I just feel like I've been getting a lot of results from this already, like such as the acne, and I already feel like I'm getting a lot more energy. I won't say I'm getting a whole lot more, but it's still a dramatic change for me from being a person who doesn't really have a lot of energy, who it's hard to get up in the morning and stuff. And yesterday morning I woke up like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had a lot of energy. I couldn't go back to sleep until about 9. But I feel like it's really working, and if you guys would like to try it, go ahead, but of course first consult your doctor. But of course, like I said, I got this on Amazon. I might leave a link down below. Of course, I am not sponsoring this video, but I'm just doing this because I want to help other people. So I'll leave a link down below, and I'll leave some information more about it. Like, I would just leave some information on the type of ingredients it has down below so that you could understand what those specific ingredients does. So thank you guys, and like I said, of course this is my first actual video for my channel. Me and my husband, we got married last year, September 7th. And this year, September 7th, in the next few days, is going to be our 1-year anniversary, and I'm very excited. And of course, that's rain. It's raining right now, so yes, it's very loud. But I just want to thank you guys for stopping by my channel and watching this and taking your time to really understand even my story, just so that you could have an idea of what's happening with you. I think it's not just about helping other people who have it, but their spouses, in order for them to understand fully what their other spouse is going through. Because I know when I first got married and I didn't know what was going on with me, I found it kind of hard to communicate with my husband, because of course he's a man, and I felt like, you know, the next thing he doesn't know, and I don't want to bother him and all that. But sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to do those things, because when you build up those emotions, one day you're gonna burst, and that's what happened to me. I burst and I started crying. It was so bad. Sometimes I would fall asleep crying at night, and I would even get tear stains on my pillows. It's just really bad. It's something that a lot of people go through. And yes, the rain's getting heavier, so I'm gonna go now. So thank you guys for visiting my channel, and thank you so much for watching my video. Bye.